Okay, so let's just get right into it. For what feels like forever now, the whole conversation about AI has been stuck on one single question. Is a robot going to take my job? It's all been about fear, about replacement, but what if that's the wrong question? What if we've been looking at this whole thing completely backwards? Today, we're going to flip that script and shift the story from one of loss to one of a massive, just unprecedented explosion of builders. And look, let's be super clear. This uncertainty, it's real. This isn't just hype. This is coming from the people at the very top. Guys like OpenAI's Sam Altman. They're openly admitting they have no idea what the other side of this looks like. And just notice that word he uses, a flood. Not a rollout, not a release, a flood. It paints this picture of something huge, fast, and maybe totally out of our control. And that feeling, that uncertainty, it really sets the stage for the official story we've all been hearing. So, for the longest time, we've been sold this very tidy, very safe little story about what AI is supposed to be. This is the official version, the one you hear in all the press releases and the big corporate meetings. The promise was pretty simple, right? AI is just a tool. It's like a super smart intern that's going to handle all the boring stuff. Summarizing reports, cleaning up data, answering the same 5 customer questions over and over. The goal was never supposed to be replacement. It was supposed to be augmentation. The idea was that AI boosts our efficiency and frees up us humans to focus on the big picture, the creative stuff. And, for a little while, the numbers looked really good. I mean, just take a look at a company like Klarna. They brought in an AI that did the work of 700 full-time customer service agents, and the results, at first, looked incredible. We're talking a reported $40 million in profit, and customer wait times just plummeted from 11 minutes all the way down to 2. On paper, this is a massive win. This is the promise fulfilled. But what happens when that flood really hits? Right, and this is where that neat, clean corporate story starts to totally fall apart. We go from this idea of a perfect tool to the chaotic, messy reality of the Great AI flood. And honestly, it feels less like a controlled experiment and more like, well, chaos. There's actually a brilliant term for this feeling: cognitive hyperabundance. It's that sense that AI is just getting so smart, so fast, that it's completely saturating everything around us. And it creates this deep, gut-level dread, not just that we'll lose our jobs, but that our actual brain power, our ideas, will just become irrelevant. And this flood is creating a huge gap between what companies are pushing for and what customers actually want. And this is where that disconnect gets so obvious. While companies are in this massive race to automate everything, just look at the data. 3/4 of us still want to talk to a human. In fact, almost 2/3 of people wish companies would just stop using AI for customer service altogether. This isn't just a minor preference, it's a huge breakdown in trust. And when you give these AI systems real power with no real oversight, things can get really weird and really expensive. You gotta hear this one. A user actually tricked a car dealership's chatbot into selling them a brand new Chevy Tahoe for $1. $1. And the AI even sealed the deal with a legally binding no takesies backsies. I mean, that's hilarious, but it's also a legal and financial nightmare just waiting to happen. And it gets even more absurd. A delivery company's chatbot was manipulated into writing a poem about how terrible its own company was, and then it just started swearing at the customer. You literally cannot make this stuff up. So clearly this story of AI as some perfect, efficient tool is missing a few chapters. It's time to zoom out and look at the huge economic shift that's happening underneath all of this chaos. Okay, so this brings us to this radical new idea called labor zero. It's the theory that what we're actually seeing is the fundamental separation of human work from economic value. And to really get it, we've got to take a quick look back at history. And what history shows us is that these massive economic shifts, they're normal. We've done this before. We went from a primary farming-based economy where like 90% of people worked on farms to a secondary manufacturing one. And then we shifted again to the tertiary or service economy, which is where most of us work today. But check out that last row. The data suggests the service economy actually peaked way back in 2015. We are already in the first inning of the next great shift. So if the very nature of work is changing, what in the world does that mean for how we make money? Well, basically, your household income comes from one of 3 places: wages from a job, transfers from the government, or capital from stuff you own. The entire 20th century economy was built on that first slice, wages. But if AI starts to make that slice smaller and smaller, what happens to everybody else? What happens to the whole system?
All right, this is the moment. This is where we reframe the entire problem. Instead of seeing that shrinking wage bucket as the end of the world, we can see it as the fuel for something brand new. Welcome to the Ambition Engine, and it's all powered by a really cool, kind of counterintuitive economic idea.
It's called the Jevons paradox. And honestly, this might be one of the most important ideas you need to understand for the next 20 years. The theory is simple. When technology makes a resource crazy cheap and efficient, we don't end up using less of it. We end up finding so many new things to do with it that our total consumption just explodes. Just think about it. When we figured out how to make steel cheaply, we didn't just make cheaper horseshoes. No way. We built skyscrapers, we built railroads, we built cars. When computing power got cheap, we didn't just do our taxes a little faster. We invented the internet, video games, the whole software industry. And now there's a new resource that's becoming radically cheaper: intelligence, or maybe more accurately, the execution of ideas. So this is the absolute key. AI doesn't make humans obsolete. It makes the cost of doing something, of executing on an idea, drop almost to zero. And when that happens, the thing holding us back isn't the ability to build anymore. The new bottleneck, the new rare and valuable thing, becomes all the uniquely human stuff: judgment, ambition, and insight. The demand for people with great ideas is about to go through the roof. Okay, so what does this actually mean for you, for your career? It means we all have to start thinking about ourselves in a totally new way. We are walking into an era where pretty much everyone can be a builder. I mean, just think about the sheer scale of this change. For a long time, there have been about 35 million software developers in the whole world. But there are hundreds of millions of experts out there: doctors, teachers, logistics managers, people who know exactly what problems need to be solved in their field, but they could never write the code to fix them. Well, AI is wiping out that barrier. Now an expert can just describe the tool they need in plain English, and an AI can start to build it. This is a 10x, maybe a 100x expansion in the number of creators in the world. To really succeed in this new world, you have to stop defining yourself by your job title. Those are temporary. They're specific to one company. Instead, you need to define yourself by the universal problems you solve. I'm a senior project manager. That's a title. I help creative teams get their products out the door on time. That's a problem you solve. That's where the real value is. And this brings us right back to those amazing human skills that AI just can't copy: judgment, having the wisdom to make the final call when the data isn't clear; relationships, the ability to build genuine trust with another person; and accountability, being the one who puts their name on it and owns the result, good or bad. These skills become infinitely more valuable when all the easy processing work gets automated away. So after this whole journey, from the fear of being replaced all the way to this idea of a builder explosion, it all really comes down to one final powerful idea about what's really holding us back now. For pretty much all of human history, our progress was limited by our ability to actually do stuff. Building things was hard, it was slow, it was expensive. That was the bottleneck. That whole era is ending. With AI, execution is becoming cheap, it's becoming fast, it's becoming abundant. The new bottleneck is no longer the how, it's the what and the why. It's our own ambition, our own insight, our own courage. The new bottleneck is you. And that really leaves us with one final question. And this isn't a threat, it's an invitation. It's a challenge. For the first time ever, the main thing stopping an idea from becoming reality isn't money or engineering or time. It's just the scope of your own ambition. So now that execution is basically free, what will you dare to build?